Yep, folks, I think we have here a case of the movie was better than the book. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Ashley Hanna. I'm a moody reader, and today we're going to talk about A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. A classic film in which we have Mandy Moore and that other guy who I can't remember his name at the moment, but he was really hot. That tragic love story that talks about faith and grief and believing that the Lord has a plan. I watched the movie before I read this book, and the movie is what influenced me to read this book. So, you know what? I think the movie did a great job of influencing me. It's a great movie. You should go watch it if you have not. I will be talking in depth about certain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie or don't know what happens, or what happens in basically every Nicholas Sparks book, then, you know, after a certain point, get out of here. But let's talk about the summary first. So, we are in the 1950s in Beaufort, North Carolina, and we are going through the memories of Landon Carter in his senior year of high school. And now Landon Carter doesn't have many talents except for balancing a pencil vertically on his finger for 30 seconds and tying sailing knots. So his father, who is this like hoity-toity congressman who is pretty much always away from home in Washington, says to him that in order to, beef up your college application, you should probably have an extracurricular on it. So he is told to run for student council president. And he figures, if I get the jocks to vote me in, because he's part of the cool crew, so he has that power, he says, if I get those votes, then I'm a shoo-in. And so, what do you know, he does. So that puts him in different social circles, and during that time he encounters Jamie Sullivan, who is the Baptist minister's daughter, and his name is Hegbert. Hegbert is a widower. He had married late in life, and him and his wife tried to have multiple children. They went through 6 miscarriages, and then finally she carried to term with Jamie, and she died in childbirth. And so Hegbert is obviously really protective over Jamie, loves her with all his heart, and Jamie loves him as well. And because he is a minister, Jamie is always seen with her Bible. She's always in church. She wears the same sweater day in and day out. Her hair is always in a bun. And, Landon thinks she's just not cool. But when he ends up in the town's Christmas play with her, he gets to know her a little bit better. And if you haven't read or watched the movie, this would be the time to peace out, because we're going to talk about all the spoilers. So just know that I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, but not because of Landon Carter. I gave it 4 stars for Jamie Sullivan, because she is a beautiful soul. So, go away, non-spoiler people. Okay, now that it's just us gals here, if you can see these tabs, it's not because I love this book. In fact, only this blue tab is for crying, for obvious reasons, but for a section where I just loved. These orangey, pinky, salmony colored tabs are for when I hated Landon Carter. He is the most rude, beauty-obsessed, misogynistic man I think I've ever read about. And I think that the movie made him seem more likable than the book. Like, if you had only read the book, I don't know how this got turned into a movie, quite frankly. The story, the bones are there. The story itself, the main character, is irredeemable. He's awful. He's trash. Landon Carter spends most of his days talking about how attractive or unattractive certain people in his social circles are. In fact, let me read you a snippet. Ooh, here's a good one. So, in this book, Landon only really starts talking to Jamie originally because when he's on student body council, he's supposed to go to the homecoming dance because, you know, he represents the school. And he wants to have a date to this dance, obviously, but he waits too long and all the hotties are taken. Here's what he says about that. He says, by the final week, the pickings were getting pretty slim. The pool was down to the kinds of girls who had thick glasses and talked with lisps. Beaufort was never exactly a hotbed for beauties anyway. What? How, like, I get that this is being told in the retrospective of Landon Carter when he's older and wiser, but being in his brain when he's reminiscing, it's terrible. It's trash. And also the writing of this book as well. Because I know that this is being told, like I said, in, like, he's reminiscing, but it's written like a Dear Diary entry. He'll have a lot of the paragraphs, and then to segue into the next thing, he'll go, anyway. And the amount of times that was done in this book is criminal. Also, if I never read If You Know What I Mean, again, it'll be too soon. But it's like, Landon Carter, not everybody is here for your viewing. You're not in a museum, you're not in an art gallery. It's like, he even talks about people's mamas, like, where is it? So, again, talking about this dance. He, at one point, is so desperate, his mother is like, yo, honey, let me take you to the dance. She's like, if you need somebody, I can do it. And he's like, no, I'd rather die than have that happen. So then he's talking about inviting Jamie, because that's how they meet. He's like, as a last-ditch effort, you know, this is the bottom of the barrel, which, rude. Bottom of the barrel pick, he wants to go to Jamie, and he wants to get there before Carrie Dennison, who was also part of the homecoming committee. And he says this about Carrie Dennison. He was probably looking through the yearbook too. He was weird, but he wasn't the kind of guy who liked cleaning up puke either. And if you'd seen his mother, you'd know that his choice was even worse than mine. You about to dunk on this man's mama? No. Jail. Right to jail. I get that he also goes through a transformation. He goes from Landon Carter, layabout, who doesn't care about anything because he is rich, to this guy who gives alms to the poor, goes to the orphanage with Jamie, and marries her because that's what she would want. He becomes selfless and a nice person. But this book is only 159 pages long, and it happens within so short of a chunk of book, not so short of a chunk of time, but, you know, we're reading it. It happens so quickly that I can't help but remember where he started. I cannot, in good faith, let this stand. He's terrible. Now, what I did love was the relationship between Jamie and her father, Hegbert. It was beautiful. Just the thought of this man who has lost everything to then get this one piece of his wife, and then he then loses her to leukemia. And throughout it all, Jamie stays really strong. She keeps on saying something about the Lord's plan. And Landon Carter goes, if I never hear her say those words again. But she stays super strong and even gives Landon some faith and hope. This book is really about hope. And in fact, you gotta have it. Because at a certain point, that's all that Jamie has. And it's just beautiful. I cried like a baby towards the end when they got married. She, at one point, is so sick that she is able to walk down the aisle, but then she has to end up sitting in a wheelchair to get married to Landon. And that didn't happen in the movie. In the movie, she was well enough to stand the entire time. But at their wedding in the book, Landon ends up getting on his knees to to marry her at eye level, and even her father, who marries them, ends up kneeling as well, and he almost cries because he's like, I can't give you my daughter, but I'm going to. And it's just so sad and beautiful. So let's talk about some of the differences between book to movie. So in the book, we are in 1958 in Beaufort, North Carolina. And in the book, we are in the late 90s to early 00s. So that's a huge difference. And I think this book needed to happen in the 50s to justify some of the things that Landon says and thinks and does. And another difference is the origin stories for some of these characters. Like, Landon in the movies is not well off. He's not poor by any means, but he is not this guy who lives in a mansion and has a car. Does he have a car? I think he has a car. But he's not well off. And his father in the movie is not with them because they are divorced, and he lives somewhere else with his new family, and he's a doctor in the movies. But in the book, Landon Carter's father is this congressman who is just absent. And that's almost, no, not almost, that is worse in my opinion for Landon's father to be gone like he is. And, which makes it so sweet when Landon and his father get close in the end of this book, because Landon is like, life is short. And then Landon has maids and butlers, and he doesn't really see he doesn't actually see how rich he is until he spends time with Jamie, and he ends up giving his money to the poor too, so that's just beautiful. And then the other big thing in this that's different is that the play they put on is completely different between the two forms. In the movie, the play is something that one of the students wrote, and it's kind of stupid, that the play in the movie, I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand the play. I don't understand what the plot is, and I think it's just a moment for Mandy Moore to appear looking beautiful, because she wasn't beautiful before, but then she let her hair down and put on some makeup and wore a sparkly dress, so now she's automatically pretty. In the book, it's much more sentimental. In the book, the play is about, Hegbert. It's about Hegbert and Jamie, because Hegbert really did not enjoy the tale of A Christmas Carol. He thought it was sacrilegious and blasphemous that these ghosts would appear and not be specifically from heaven. And so he says, I'm gonna write my own. Charles Dickens who? So he writes a play called The Christmas Angel, which is based on his life, pretty much. It's about this father, Tom Thornton, who has a daughter, but he has recently been widowed, and his daughter really wants a certain toy, but they can't afford it, and so this Christmas angel appears to him and ends up, throughout the entire story, letting him know that the real Christmas gift is family, and the fact that he has someone who is a piece of his wife right there, and he's been avoiding her and kind of ignoring her. So the play, I think, was better in the book. They did that better. I don't know why they changed it, and I think it's sweet that Jamie kind of, because the play is put on by the seniors in the high school, and there's an unspoken rule that Jamie will play this part when she comes of age. And so when it happens, Landon gets the part of Tom Thornton because he is in drama class, but Jamie asks specifically for Landon to play the part because Eddie would not do it justice. And yeah, that is basically what happens in the book. The book is not as good as the movie, I'm sorry to say. I think they did a great job. I think the story itself was good, and that's probably why it got made into a movie. But the writing, terrible. Terrible. Tragic. So, yeah. Let me know if you have read this book. I know a lot of people have watched the movie, but have you read the book? And what did you think? Is this a case of, like Howl's Moving Castle? The movie, I think, is better than the book. Let me know. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you would like, and you'll see more videos from me from time to time. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for joining me and talking about this classic literature. And I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye.